Today for Rat Trap Thursday. Oh wait, I'm not Sean Woods. Anyway, sorry. We've got a little rat trap design that I wanted to show you guys. Rats are really difficult to trap, so I've come up with my own little design to try and fool the tricky rats. So a lot of times people don't realize how difficult rats are to trap. They're very, very tricky. They're not like catching a squirrel or a mouse. A lot of people compare them to mice because they're used to catching mice in their basement. Yeah, you set any trap anywhere. Hey guys, you're gonna smash it. You guys sit really gentle or don't sit, okay? Okay. Thank you. So, rats are nothing like mice where you just set a trap and they just walk right in it. A lot of people get the misconception, oh, well, we trap mice whenever they come in our house. We just set a trap and we catch them. So that must be how rats are. Rats are nothing like dumb little mice that just walk into any trap you set. Same with squirrels, they walk into pretty much any trap you set. Rats are really, really tricky. Now, I'm not saying you can't trap a rat. If you have 1 or 2 rats and they're hungry, sure, you can catch one. But if the rat has a halfway decent supply of food, a lot of times they're downright untrappable in some circumstances. And so you've got to outsmart the rat. So one of the things that I've noticed is certain, like if you get a big colony of rats, there'll be certain really low on the totem pole rats. They kind of get pushed around, they get kicked off the food, they don't get quite enough to eat. And they're more confident than the other rats for some reason when it comes to walking into traps. So you can set a trap and catch a couple. It's not like you can't catch any. But what ends up happening is the rats that get caught train the rest of the rats to avoid the trap. They realize, the other ones realize, hey, it didn't work out so well for Jimmy, I'm gonna stay away from that area, or don't eat that poison, or don't eat that near that trap because it's dangerous. So they learn from the dumb ones and they become almost impossible to trap. And every now and then a young dumb one will come along and get caught again, but you're never gonna control the population using traps or poisons in many circumstances, because whenever a dumb one comes along, it just teaches the rest to avoid the trap. Poison, it's not quite as tricky. They're more likely to succumb to poison, but traps especially, it's darn near impossible to eradicate a group of rats using a trap. Like I said, you might be able to catch one dumb one that's by himself, but if you have multiple rats in the area, usually the dumb ones train the more nervous ones and the smart ones to be more nervous and more smart because of their bad experience. So this trap is created to basically defeat that way of thinking that rats have. So this trap is in 2 parts. So we're going to put this one aside and let's focus on the first part. So this is designed to basically teach the rats that this trap is safe. So it's got a solid top basically to protect the food from going bad, because you're going to fill this compartment here with food. You just fill it up to the brim with food and then close the top. And the solid roof's going to keep it dry and allow the rats to feed from it. So the way they're going to enter this trap is through this door. They walk in here and the door is weighted so that when they start to walk, it opens. Then they walk the rest of the way in and begin to feed back here. And while they're feeding back here, obviously the door closes on them and they're stuck in there. So here's the thing. You might get lucky and catch a couple rats with this. Maybe even get really lucky and have a group of dumb ones and catch half a dozen. But what's going to end up happening is the rest of the rats will watch them get caught and realize, oh, that's not such a good idea. Another thing that's likely to happen, well, the rat's stuck in here for several hours before you check it. They're likely to figure out that if they come up from the inside and pull on this door, that it opens and they'll get out. I've had traps like this, and sometimes you catch the rat and hold it, and sometimes the rats get out. And if one rat, let's say you did get lucky and you caught half a dozen rats, if one rat opens the door and gets out, the other ones will watch him, and boom, 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 you'll lose all your rats. And then they know how to get out, so they'll go in and eat and go out and in and eat and out, and it totally defeats the trap. First off, there's a good chance that none of that will even happen. The rats won't figure their way out. They won't even go in. There's a good chance that the rats will see this and be like, this is too scary. I'm just going to avoid it. They'll kind of play with this door and they're like, nope, I'm staying clear of that. That looks like a trap. So what you do is you set it like this to begin with. So it's open. There is no door. They can walk right in and they can feed. And how we'll start out with is we'll fill this bait compartment and then we'll leave a thick, heavy trail of food starting at the front of the trap. So not even inside the trap, right all out in the front of the trap, and then a big heavy trail. So I'm not talking like a little sprinkle trail, I'm talking a pile of food trail all the way in and throughout the bottom of the trap and all in front of the trap, and fill this canister. And then we're just gonna leave it. The rats will come, they'll eat all the food here first and get comfortable with being near the trap. That the trap, being near the trap is not scary, it's totally fine. Once they run out of food, they'll naturally start stealing food here. And they might be nervous at first and kind of jerk in and out, but eventually they'll get used to eating from there and they'll eat that pile of food. No, let me reiterate, it's not a trail, it's a pile of food. And they'll slowly eat until all the food's eaten off the bottom of the cage. Then they'll begin feeding from this bait compartment and they'll empty this. So as soon as they've emptied the whole thing, the rats are clearly pretty confident with walking all the way in and eating. And it may start out with just 1 or 2 brave rats that are willing to go in, but those brave rats will eventually teach all the timid rats, this place is a safe place to eat. Look, I've been eating and leaving and eating and leaving and nothing's gone wrong. So pretty soon the whole colony is used to feeding from this trap because it's easy and safe food. So once that happens, the next step is to set it. Now, the rats will notice, hey, there's a difference. So a few of them will go in and get caught, the rest will get nervous and quit, right? So you don't leave it set. I have an exit for them. This little exit makes it so they can come in and feed with it set. So the door now shuts behind them. Oh, they can't get back out. But while they're frantically trying to get out, they'll find this exit that I created for them. They'll go and they'll push these prongs open. So you see it's got little prongs that are really pliable. So they're springy, they spring back into place, but the rat can just push his way through this. So he just wants to get out and he'll push his way through this. Now, here's the thing. A rat would probably, unless he was really, really hungry, would probably never enter through a door like this. That's just too much effort to get into food. It seems too much like a trap. But when an animal is stuck and desperately trying to escape, they're far more likely to push things open and squeeze and do everything they can to get out. So they'll push and squeeze and these prongs will open and let the rat get out and run away. That rat will learn, hey, even when this door is set and it closes on me, I've got a way out. I can go in, eat, and then push my way out the back door and I'm safe. So you basically repeat the process. You fill the trap with food, let them feed from it, and leave. A couple brave rats will go in and push their way out and teach the whole colony this is a safe place to feed. So once you feel that the rats are nice and confident with coming and going through the door, you then pull a fast one on them. Now their exit leads to another trap. So even if the rats are smart enough to work this door, they're not going to be smart enough to push their way through that because it's just not physically possible for them to push back through that wire. So they'll come in just like usual, feed just like usual, and then they'll try and get out their normal escape route, and boom, they're trapped in this cage where they cannot get back out. There's no being smart and pushing past that barrier. That's just too hard for them to get past. So now this cage will fill up with rats while they just come to feed and then keep getting caught. Once you've got this cage all full of rats, one of the tricky things is getting them out. So you can just reach through this top hatch that I created, which is just big enough to fit your arm, and you could catch them all by hand, obviously having a glove on. Catch them one by one at a time. But what's likely to happen if you do that is there's a good chance you could lose some. Some squeeze up through here and get away. So sometimes when you got a bunch of animals, it's really hard to get them out. So what I did was, if that's the case, it ends up being difficult to catch them by hand, I've got this little extra door that I can utilize to get them out of. So I've got a little latch here, just pop it open. Okay, so now I've got this door open. Let's pretend there's a bunch of rats here. I'm gonna have to just be sure they're not coming over here. Slide this open, and this is made to fit this trap. So it's really snug and tight. Then I just put the door here ready to close when I want to. And I've got a little handle here that opens up the door. So now this is open. Those rats can run inside this trap. And a good idea would be to take a towel and cover this up. so that it looks like a nice dark hiding place. So you cover this up with a towel or whatever you have available, hay, whatever. You want to make this look nice and dark for them to hide in, and the rats will just start running in on their own. You can kind of tap the cage and scare them that way. Sometimes rats are just mean and they just sit there and fight you. So you'll be like banging on the cage and they're just jumping at you instead of running away. And that's fine. Then you'll just open up the door and physically chase them in there or catch them. If they want to fight you so bad, just catch them and pull them out by hand. But the rest might run and scatter into here. Once you've got this full, then you just carefully slide it out, and this door slides down. You can quickly shut this door, and then boom, you've got a bunch of rats crammed into this trap, and you can reset it and go. And obviously if you have a ton of rats, you'll probably use, I've got 2 different traps like this, I'll fill 2 traps with it. So that's the idea. Here's the thing, all this planning and thinking and knowing how rats react might not help. I'm fully prepared for this to be a failure because I have gone through several trap designs that they manufacture in the public. I've created my own. Usually there's something wrong with them. Rats are tricky to trap. So we'll see if this works better. If you watch the mousetrap Monday videos from Sean Woods, he's got a lot of ideas, and you know, they've got the walk the plank idea and it works great. Yeah, it only works great for the rats confident enough to even go near it. That's the thing. So rats are neophobic. Every trap idea where the rat gets caught immediately is not going to work long term for a large group of rats. Reason being, they're neophobic, so when they see something new, they're going to naturally be nervous of it. Those that are less nervous get caught and teach the other ones to be more nervous. Eventually the rat trap's going to stop working and only catch occasional individuals, where the rest are smart and stay away from it. This trap design, whether it works or not, has yet to be seen, but the idea is you teach the whole colony this is a good, safe place, catch a whole bunch at once, and then once you've caught a whole bunch, you go back to square one. Okay, we caught a whole bunch. We've taught a few that didn't get caught to be nervous of this place, so we're going to go back to square one. Let them get confident, feeding from here again, then we'll set it. Is it going to be a foolproof and clear out all the rats and you'll never have a problem? Probably not. No, realistically not. And I don't intend for this to do that. I just intend for this to be helpful alongside my mink and dogs to help reduce the rat population in an area with a large number of rats. So we'll see how it works.